This video is very much dedicated to me talking about greatswords because I just want to talk about them. 2, someone was interested in it. And 3, I just want to talk about big swords. So, greatswords, we've all heard the statements of they were big and clunky and slow, heavy, the stereotypical fantasy settings. But a lot of us has also heard the realistic historical side where they were the opposite. They were still light, they were still usable, they weren't clunky, they were very agile. They just kept a lot of distance between you and the enemy because of how long they were. Now, greatswords are a fairly newer type of weapon when it comes to the history of swords. A lot of swords started off very small and kind of be paired up with shields or other weapons. Greatswords only started to appear more as soon as things like cavalry or any type of more polearm units started showing up a lot. So that's when greatswords started being used, which is roughly the Renaissance kind of era for a lot of them. Some of them are a little bit earlier, some of them are a little bit later. A lot of areas have their own type of greatsword per se. You have the German Zweihander, you have the European Montante, you have the Scottish Lowlander, as I have here, or you have claymores. Claymores are a weird one because they just mean big sword, so there's a good chance that a claymore was a great sword, but now we use them more as long swords because, I don't know, we're just bigger nowadays. It's really hard to tell. However, as you can also see here, greatswords are very easy to actually use. They are very nimble and they are very, very quick with very wide arcing swings. Now, that's a Montante style. However, you can also tighten up that grip and stance and actually kind of target one person. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Now, you can very much use a longsword style to target one person, which is a little bit more awkward with a greatsword, but if you practice enough, it is actually very satisfying and almost simple to do. Because to me, a greatsword is just a bigger longsword. And when it comes down to it, a lot of those movesets are interchangeable. Even with a longsword, you can do wide sweep and arcs. It's not preferred because you don't have that reach advantage, but you can still do it when there's multiple opponents. And that's all those wide sweep and arcs are meant for. Now, what I mean about like actually tightening things up and target one person, you kind of see me doing these movements here where it's not really going wild. It is keeping things in front of me, just like long point for a longsword. It is something I have practiced for a bit, so I might be a little bit more comfortable with it, but it's very much something that is doable. It's kind of my point of how a longsword and a greatsword are very, very similar, and I'm starting to ramble on, which I completely apologize for. Anyways, I'll move on to another point here as soon as possible. But yes, greatswords and longswords are actually very much interchangeable. Yes, this Lowlander sword that I have is a little bit heftier, for sure. It is on the heavier side by 9 pounds-ish. It's like 8 to 9 pounds, which is heavy for a greatsword. Most greatswords are looking about 6 to 8 pounds. This one is just like a pound heavier. It's just something I quite enjoy, so that's just a preference. That's another thing about these weapons that a lot of people have to realize, is a lot of it is preferences. There is no best weapon or a single weapon that beats everything. Yes, your polearms and poleaxes are probably your closest thing to a so-called perfect weapon. However, carrying around a polearm is a little annoying and can be kind of difficult. Same with carrying around a greatsword, but a greatsword is also a little bit smaller, so maybe you can find more room in carriages or whatever you're using for travel. It's just kind of one of those things you have to kind of think about. I am starting to really ramble on. Anyways, I will leave you guys off here before I ramble on too much. Thank you very much for actually listening to me, if you have to this point. I know I'm terrible at it, but I still appreciate all you guys, and I hope you guys actually have enjoyed this video or have learned something or some form of interest. So thank you very much. I appreciate all you, and I hope you all have a great rest of your day.